we couldn't look at each other even on the monitor, which is
we couldn't even look at each other, Stephen. So I'm glad it worked, that it had the depth that it needed. Between us, it was like two grade school kids, somebody going, kiss her. And he's like, no.
Obviously, just watching the original movie and this episode, your roles as characters are very different. And, based on everything, your characters did in the movie, when you first got the gig and didn't see the script for Zootopia Plus, like, what did you think the episode was going to be like?
We know that we're in trusted hands creatively, that they're going to be writing something that's character driven and heartfelt and funny. So it was kind of like, what's it going to be? But it was such a surprise when it was action packed. So fun for us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And fun to see how that moment in the movie was suddenly expanded. You know what I mean? Like kind of blown up, so to speak. And it was like, oh, this is very interesting. What a great door. What a great window that is to like a parallel universe in Zootopia, where we get to explore a little moment we never thought we would, which is part of the whole mosaic.
Yeah, definitely. So this one, so again, for both of you, so, you've done a lot of lead roles outside of Zootopia. So, I mean, it must have been, different, getting a call for characters who, you probably never expected, would be the main focus of an episode like this. Like, what is it like reprising a role like this?
Well, it's so flattering, and it's such a gift. We just love working with talented people. Don and I have worked together for many years in all different forms of entertainment and, theater, television, film, radio, and now this voice work together. It's nice that they took, focusing on the parents, these ancillary characters in the film. It's a compliment because we loved working together with them. We have so much fun when we're recording because we all want to make each other laugh or impress each other. I mean, that's what it's about. So that's the best. It was a gift.
Yeah. And to get to improvise like that and then be coming up with things in the moment, and then to hear, Trent and Josie laughing and seeing the people, in the booth laugh, and that you live for that, right? You live for it.
And then bringing it to life in animation, when you get to see it, you're like, they used that and they brought it to life, and so visually pleasing and artistically awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And kind of going off of those questions, there was a lot of humor in the movie that, that was relatable, but I felt like a lot of the humor in this episode was almost more relatable because, there's like the trouble getting Siri to do something that you're asking, or, getting in the earbuds out of a kid because, they're not listening. It must just be so satisfying, doing that type of humor. And I was like wondering like how much of that humor in that episode like really hit home for you guys. Like, obviously for me, I was like the Siri one. I'm like, Siri,
Yeah.
So nice of you to notice that, Stephen, and to bring it up, because it is, for us, all of it was relatable. That's what makes it so great, is that we know that all the different generations can watch this together, and everyone's going to have something that means something to them, makes them laugh, and is relatable.
I don't know if this is the right word or not, but it's like when you see things like that, you look at the creative team and you go, wow, they are really kind of connected. You know what I mean? They're really in that zone, so to speak. They're thinking of all these little things that are so important and such big moments, but in a tiny little bit of space. But yeah, that's what I thought. It was like, wow, they're such a connected group, really, the way times are and what to do.
And I know you talked about a little bit during the press conference earlier today, but I'm just like wondering what it was like, doing that kissing scene at the end. I mean, 'cause it was very drawn out, and I could, if I were an actor and I was doing that, I could see myself going through multiple takes trying to do that. I was like wondering what that was like. It was funny, but it was heartwarming.
It was heartwarming, but to be honest, as actors, for Don and I, it was like, we were like two sixth graders that can't even take each other seriously that way. So we were literally completely red-faced
Yeah.
We couldn't, Don, how could we not get through? We were laughing like little nervous kids.
Yeah. School kids in the playground. Yeah. We couldn't look at each other even on the monitor, which is
We couldn't even look at each other, Stephen. So I'm glad it worked, that it had the depth that it needed. But between us, it was like two grade school kids, somebody going, kiss her. And he's like, no.
Yeah. Yeah. It just shows you what great animators they are.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's awesome. And I'm curious too. I mean, I don't know if you've had a chance to see it, but like if you saw like the other episodes of Zootopia Plus, like if you had, any favorites from the ones that you've seen. If you haven't seen them yet, it's fine. But I'm just curious if there was one that was like, I love it.
Did you have a favorite, Don? I hate to say a favorite. I know it's not a good.
There is.
I know.
Yeah,
because each one is it's hard to compare. It's in a weird way. Each one has its own.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah. I was pleased after each one I saw, and by the time I got to the end of them, it was like, oh wow, they're all fantastic. And sometimes when you run into those people, you're telling them how great that episode was. Then you see another person from another episode, and it's like, oh my god, that episode was fantastic.
Exactly. That's right.
Yeah, they're almost incomparable because each one has an ingredient the others don't get to explore. But that's what makes the 6 as a whole unit wonderful to watch. I was in awe of each one, really. And yes, I could name so many.
I like watching the nieces and nephews watch, because like that's the fun part is the audience reaction or seeing people connect to all of them. I mean, there's something they did it well. It's got the depth and quality, and it's great all the way across all the episodes.
Yeah. And you really are impressed and entertained by how they pull a little moment from the movie, these 6 different moments, and then they draw it all out. It's like you appreciate that more as you go along. That was really cool because that aspect I love too.
Well, so I have 2 minutes left, and I have a question for each of you. Hopefully, I'll get to them both, but if not, oh well. For you, Bonnie, so you've done, kind of like a similar episode like this when you came back as Dolly in the episode, what is a leader in the Forky Asks a Question series. Yeah, like it kind of is the same feel. And I was wondering, like, how did this Zootopia project differ from that?
I don't think of them as different, honestly. I think that for me personally, I like to be as selective as possible and still make a living, which is always kind of a balancing act. But I like things like, Dolly and Bonnie Hopps, because it's just something from your heart. It's warm, but it also has a reality to it. And there's consequence for the things that aren't well done by the characters. I mean, there's lessons, there's messages, and it's all wrapped up in something so entertaining. So for both those characters, it just felt like that was the ultimate combo platter.
One of the scenes that just really made me laugh is when he went that whole quote, I just saw the one piece on a sheep where there is no wool. It's like, I mean, I guess it might be sometime, but like, what was it like doing something like that? Or it's a joke where it's like kids will be like, oh, that's funny. But to adults, it's like, oh, that's really funny.
Yeah, I know. It's like, wow. It's like, this is a good one. This is a beaut, right? That's a gem. That's a gem. I lit up when I saw that.
But that's the clever way of saying something that if it was said blatantly, which is a lot of today's entertainment, shock, just say it. It's not as clever to me. Yeah. And to see the cleverness of the exact same joke that can be showed to all generations and appreciated by the ones who get it, but safe for the ones who don't, and not crude, but clever. And it's like, I'm not a prude by any means, but boy, I want that cleverness.
Better laugh for sure. It's just a better laugh. Yeah.
Definitely. Perfect. Well, all time is up. I just got to say thank you very much for your time. And good rest of the day doing more interviews. Hopefully it goes by quickly for you guys.